Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the Everything Real Estate Show, sponsored by Ryan with First In Home Inspection and Stephanie of eMortgage Management. I'm very thankful for them sponsoring my show. As you know, we've had them on with us in the past, and we'll have them on in the future. I am looking to get some title company to come in and an appraiser and some insurance people to talk with us about those aspects of real estate because they are very, very important. If you have questions that you have, I encourage you to email me at david@davidangione.com. And Angione is spelled Angione, or you can text me at 330-323-6396 with your real estate questions, and I will do my best to find you an answer for those and maybe even bring someone on the show with me to talk about it. So this is your show. It's all about you and the possible purchase or sale of a home, and we want to meet those needs for you. So I am excited about 2018. I had a great closure to 2017, got to spend some time with my children and grandchildren over Christmas and New Year's, and it has actually been one of the best Christmases that I have had in quite a while. So nothing real special that stood out except just time with family and friends and being very much at peace. So today we're going to talk a little bit about asbestos, as someone from Massillon, again named Dave, yes, Dave, not David, called in and was asking about who I could recommend for asbestos removal out of a home. And I did come up with a couple of different names, and I will have them on my webpage, which is david@davidangione. No, that's my email, but davidangione.com is where you can find me on Facebook, and they will be on there. This is not a recommendation, just two people I found on the internet that had good reviews. So anyhow, that's where we are there. And talking about asbestos, it can be a hazardous thing if it gets airborne. If it's not airborne, it's not that big of a deal. So I went on and I found a company on Facebook that was called The Spruce. Again, not much aware of who they were, but I did like what I read. So I'm going to share with you what they shared about asbestos. And so it was used to wrap a lot of our heating pipes back in the day, and probably in the early 50s, maybe, I guess. And it helped hold in the heat and prevent the heat loss and everything. So asbestos, when it's left alone, is not a big deal or an issue. But here's start off with what federal requirements are. So, and I'm reading this pretty much off of their page. So, but according to the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, there are no federal regulations that ban a homeowner from removing asbestos from his or her own residence. That, can't go and do it for someone else, but you can do it on your own. The EPA does strongly recommend that you hire a professional to remove the asbestos. While the EPA advises you to find an accredited abatement professional, it also states that federal law does not require persons who inspect, repair, or remove asbestos-containing materials in detached single-family homes to be trained and accredited. So the EPA doesn't necessarily say that they need to be, but again, they're saying it's okay for you to go ahead and remove it from your own home. I don't know that I would recommend that you do that, because once it's airborne, like I said, that's where the problem comes. Once that becomes airborne, and the particles can get into your lungs and create some havoc there. So local restrictions for asbestos removal, states, counties, and cities have different regulations about self-removal of asbestos by you, the homeowner. In several places, several agencies may regulate asbestos removal. For example, in Seattle, Washington, and I know we're not in Seattle, but this is just an example. In the Seattle, Washington metro area, a homeowner is required to obtain a conventional demolition permit, as well as a, turning the page here, as a permit from the Puget Sound, again, that's Seattle, Washington area, Air Pollution Control Agency, before starting demolition in areas with asbestos-containing material. So again, each individual area is going to be different, but that's just an example of what's required out there in Seattle, Washington. We're nowhere near that, but it's just a good example. And so due to the patchwork of regulations, it's impossible to generalize about the legality of self-removal across all areas. Therefore, the best source of information or on requirements in your area is the local building department. In many communities, homeowners are legally allowed to remove asbestos by themselves with a few restrictions. So again, you can check with your local building department, your health department, in your local county, in your area, would have a lot of information for you about the removal of asbestos. So I highly recommend that you would contact your building department or your local health department to talk with them. You can, as a homeowner, you can do residential but not commercial do-it-yourself asbestos removal. It's limited to just residential property, and the property is, if the property is commercially certified, you have to have a commercially certified abatement professional must do the work for commercial property. So no way, shape, or form can you go into a business that you own or that is owned by someone else and remove it. And I would imagine, because that's more of a public, there's going to be more public roaming around in that area. So you are not permitted to do any commercial removal of asbestos in any commercial building of any type. So again, you want to be careful that you are staying on track with that and keeping in with the limits of the law. You could run the risk of some legal actions, maybe even if you were to be removing asbestos in a commercial building and cause maybe some health problems to your employees or customers. So I would recommend that you not do that. Again, once the asbestos in and of itself in the walls or on the pipes or anything like that is not a problem. It doesn't become a problem until it is airborne and you start breathing it in. So that's where you need to be careful with that. So again, always want to check with your local health department and building areas or building departments. So to prevent in a single-family home when you're removing it to prevent cross-contamination. Self-removal may be performed only, and again, I keep saying this, but this is what they're saying, only in single-family residence, such as, and here's what they say about a single-family home. It can be, and I find some of these funny. Obviously, it's a home, a house, mobile homes, detached garages, and here's the one that I thought was extremely funny in some ways, houseboats. Not many of us live on a houseboat, but if you do happen to live on a houseboat and you suspect there's asbestos in there, in the walls or on the pipes, or you are permitted to remove that. In-law suites or detached guest homes. This is permitted. So if you have a separate guest house or an in-law suite, you can remove it from there also. So it does not, I say again, does not include multiple family units, duplexes, triplexes, probably condos, or apartment buildings, nor mixed-use buildings. So if you have a house and a business in the same building, you would not be permitted to remove that asbestos from that building. You would have to then get a professional to do that. So so that's what that is there. And so that's where that is. Again, no mixed uses, no multiple units, no duplexes, triplexes, apartment buildings, that type of thing. You are not permitted to remove any of the asbestos from them. And if you're going to do it yourself, you want to make sure, and this is just my own added thinking as I'm thinking here about this, you would want to make sure that you would get some type of filter to put over your face and your nose and your mouth so that you're not breathing that in. And I don't think that you would want to go and just get one of those little paper things. That you would probably need something a little bit more elaborate than that. So I would, again, recommend that you talk to your health department and they could instruct you on what type of filter. So right now we're going to get ready and take a break to hear from our sponsors, and we will be back with a little bit more about the asbestos removal. And then another question came in about how big is an acre. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. So I'll see you in a little bit. And thanks for listening to the Everything Real Estate Show with David Angione.